were you able to CNN or Armed Forces Network in Afghanistan pretty consistently?
Yeah, AFN, but AFN
Sure.
carries CNN and ABC and all this, so you see what's going on.
So you finished your deployment there in December 2003, and then you headed back to Pendleton?
Right, headed back to Pendleton. I was at Pendleton for 3-4 months, and in April I got orders to change my station to Okinawa.
A desired change?
No. They put my name in the wheel, and my name came out.
Bingo.
And bingo, you're going to Okinawa. So I got orders to Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
That was a big surprise, and I was only supposed to go for a year. It turned into 2 years, which would eventually turn into the rest of my enlistment, which would be like 2.5.
Okay.
Close to 3 years. Yeah.
So you arrived there prior to, so you're talking early spring of 2004?
Yeah, that
April, March?
That sounds about right. Yeah. April. April is when I showed up.
And then did you know that you were deploying from that unit immediately upon?
No, I was there a couple months. I was there 2 months, and then it was supposed to be somebody else, and he got hurt, and they needed somebody to fill it, and I volunteered to go.
Could you have not gone because you just come back from a deployment?
I could have not gone. They were just asking. They needed a guy. At this point, they had started to understand what the insurgency was, and that they had to train all their Marines on how to combat it. And so there was a very large, like 6-week ramp up before you would leave. All these various things that you had to go to, and this kid just got hurt in the middle of it, tore his ACL, and they needed a guy to fill in.
Like a 6-week training for the deployment to Iraq, and he was hurt within that.
Yeah, he just got hurt.
And then were you required to do the entire 6 weeks, or you just kind of jumped in where you were at?
They kind of just stuck me in at where they were at.
What did some of that stuff consist of?
IED recognition, how to properly, make a perimeter around one to safely neutralize it, how to call in for IED disposal. There was a lot about IEDs and recognizing insurgents.
Visually recognizing?
Visually, because they had specific, they had kind of telltale signs of who they were and who they weren't, because most of them weren't Iraqis to begin with. Most of them were Iranians, Syrians, and to the naked eye you wouldn't know the difference, but I guess they do look different slightly. There is ways to recognize them. I mean, you don't just go, oh, that's an Iranian, has to be an insurgent. It's just like, if you see somebody who looks like this, you might want to keep an eye on him or her, because you might have an AK-47, so just stuff like that.
Yeah, and anything specific to your mission, or like you said, it's just simply moving a squadron into theater?
Yeah, they just wanted everyone to have the base knowledge. The grunts, or the grunts or infantry units, they had much more, obviously, much more expansive training. Yeah. Ours was just kind of like the baseline, because they didn't know at that point. At that point, they were, you could be sitting in your shop and they were picking guys, going, "Hey, we need to run this to this other base. We need people to be part of the convoy." I mean, they were doing it.
So they wanted everyone prepared.
Yeah, because they knew that at any point, you might get picked up, and they don't want you just like sitting there not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Because guys like that usually get other people killed.
Yeah.
So they were at that point they started becoming pretty proactive about it. So everyone was getting the training, anybody who wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you leave and arrive in June of 2004 to Iraq.
Yes.
Were you replacing a unit that was already in place? What type of transition took place?
It's pretty seamless. You're there for a week. You're there together for a week, and it's just a complete transfer, the whole unit, from top to bottom. So your unit goes in, they come out. There's obviously briefings of where we're at, what we're seeing, blah 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 blah. And
was it helpful?
At my level, not really. I'm sure at the bigger level, combat level, I could definitely see where it would be more helpful. But for me, it was, it is what it is.
Yeah. Here's what I got.
Here's what I got. This is where we're at.
What was your mission then?
My mission at that point had changed as a corporal then, and I got another MLS, 6173, so I was flying. I at least just started flying. So my mission was twofold. If I wasn't flying, I was doing what I did in Afghanistan, fixing aircraft, tech stuff. And when I was flying, we had multiple missions, depending on the mission, sortie, extraction, combat, flight operations, moving supplies, because I flew in a CH-53, which I wanted to bring a picture to show.
So we'll post a picture
Yeah,
for you.
it's
Absolutely.
a very, very large aircraft. It's the largest helicopter in the Marine Corps arsenal. I believe it's the biggest helicopter in the military. The Chinook may be bigger physically, but it's very large. It can carry 33 combat troops, fully armed, plus the flight crew. So that's 33 plus 5, so 38 personnel altogether. And it can multitude of missions because it has guns out the side, put a gun out the back, so you can do combat air support for small troops. You can do extractions because you can put a lot of wounded soldiers in there. You can do rapid deployment, either land and take off, or we also, the middle, had a big thing that you pull down, you drop a rope through, and they could rope out. So that, it had multiple things it could do, plus it was built like a tank.
So to get a sense of your operational tempo, I mean, how many flight missions were you doing a week or a month or?
At the beginning, not many.
So this is June at the beginning?
June until October, not many. Maybe 3 sorties a week, and a sortie would run maybe 5, 6 hours. A lot of we think this road is bad, we think there's stuff on it, and we don't want to just send trucks running down it by themselves. So let's put a couple aircraft up there that can, helicopters are the best because they can hover and stay with it and provide air cover in case anyone decides to do something stupid. They were doing a lot of what they were doing, like roving road blockades or whatever they call it. They drop off a unit on a road for a couple hours. They would stop all the cars that were coming by, especially on the border between Iraq and Iran. They were doing that big time.
Where were you located at this point?
All over the place.
Okay.
We moved all over. There was 3 or 4 air bases, and I could be at any one at any given point, depending on. Most of the time, I ended up spending in this air base that they put about 50 miles outside of Fallujah.
Okay.
Aka something.
Sure.
That's what they came. Spent most of my time there. But yeah, I mean the 53 has got a big range, so we could fly anywhere physically, geographically inside of Iraq and back on one tank. Plus, it could do mid-air refueling if it wanted to. So there was a couple times it was like when we were just running, they would do where they would just put aircraft in the air, and because they have a multitude of combat operations going on inside the country at any one given time, and you're there just for, what happens if someone gets really injured and they're flight back. Well, they just look and they go, that plane's kind of close, go get them.
So simply keeping you in the air was a mission.
Right. So you do 8 hours. Did that a couple times. I don't know how the pilots did it because they're always, they're a lot more on edge. You're kind of.
Did you have an opportunity to rest or sleep?
Or, yeah. It really didn't get bad until Phantom Fury. That was when it really got nuts. That was end of October, November, and December of 2004.
So October, December of 2004.
That's Operation Phantom Fury. That's when, and this was probably, I remember my mom saying this is all over CNN. It was big at that point. That was when the insurgency had gotten, that's probably the peak of the insurgency, and they had taken Fallujah. They owned Fallujah. We were out of it. We had tried once before to take it, and it failed. And they had this. That's when they started doing started pumping up the troops too. How many guys were in theater? And they decided that they were going to do, I don't know what they call it, the counterinsurgency plan, right? And the first stop was Fallujah. And my squadron